A cordial greeting. Today is Saturday, October 25, 2025. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. At the time of recording this video, it is 5:15 p.m. local time in Jamaica, where weather conditions will begin to deteriorate rapidly tonight due to what is now Hurricane Melissa. It will be approaching and moving over Jamaica. Unfortunately, we are seeing the worst possible scenario for Jamaica, where it is almost certain that they will experience the most powerful cyclone to ever affect the country. And if we look at the record of major hurricanes that have affected Jamaica, the strongest was Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, which crossed over the southern part of the island with maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. However, and unfortunately, Hurricane Melissa is forecast to strengthen into a Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour or 255 kilometers per hour. And the situation is so difficult for Jamaica that the National Hurricane Center has shared the following message. For Jamaica, a multi-day period of destructive winds and heavy rainfall is expected to begin tonight, causing catastrophic and potentially deadly flash flooding. In addition to numerous landslides, extensive infrastructure damage, prolonged power and communication outages, and the possible prolonged isolation of communities are likely. A potentially life-threatening storm surge is also likely along portions of the southern coast early next week, and all preparations should be completed today. In fact, if you are watching this video from Jamaica, it is important that you immediately seek a safe place to stay for the next 3 to 5 days. Avoid being in weak structures against the wind, flood-prone areas, and near the coast. And unlike previous days when we talked about different possibilities, in today's video we confirm that what we had projected is happening, where Melissa has begun a rapid intensification process that will take the cyclone from a tropical storm to a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane in less than 72 hours. Currently, according to the latest estimate from the National Hurricane Center, it has maximum sustained winds of 90 miles per hour or 145 kilometers per hour. In fact, according to satellite imagery, we probably already have a Category 2 hurricane, and a Hurricane Hunter aircraft is on its way to verify its intensity. What I mean is that it is very likely that when you watch this video, we will already have a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane. And if we look at the infrared satellite animation, we can see towers of convection developing around the circulation center, indicating that the system has begun this explosive intensification. And for the residents of Jamaica, it is no longer a question of whether the hurricane will cross over the region or not. It is already certain that it will directly affect the island. So we are not talking about speculations, but rather about a real situation. And it is certain that this potentially catastrophic hurricane will be affecting the island over the next 3 days. This is evident when we look at the track projections of specialized models, all of which show a west-northwestward track during the next 48 hours. And by Monday afternoon it will begin moving over central Jamaica, unfortunately along a path that would bring the strongest part of the cyclone over the city of Kingston. In addition, intensity models continue indicating that we will have rapid strengthening during the next 48 hours. And the only thing that could slightly limit its strengthening is if it moves over land sooner than anticipated. Now, based on this, the National Hurricane Center has adjusted its track slightly farther west, which would bring the center right across the middle of the island of Jamaica. And note that the National Hurricane Center forecasts that by Monday afternoon it will have maximum sustained winds of 260 kilometers per hour, that is, a powerful and destructive Category 5 hurricane. Then, during Monday night and early Tuesday morning, it would move over Jamaica as a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. And unfortunately for those living in the eastern half of the country, the strongest winds will affect cities such as Kingston, Morant Bay, Port Antonio, Anato Bay, Maypen, and Ocho Rios. And although this is the official track from the National Hurricane Center, we could still see some variations, with some tracks slightly farther east and others a bit farther west. Even so, almost 100% of the ensemble members of the European model take Hurricane Melissa over Jamaica. Now let's look at the expected impacts over the next 72 hours. This is the European model wind gust projection, which shows that gusts above 215 kilometers per hour could affect practically the entire island, especially between Monday and Tuesday. But tropical storm force winds will begin moving over eastern parts of the island as early as tonight, Saturday. Notice that the European model has an almost identical track to that shown by the National Hurricane Center. And, for example, the American model projects a slightly more eastward motion, taking the center of circulation over Kingston, leaving the destructive winds over the eastern half of the country. But on the other hand, there is also the scenario in which it travels farther west, moving the center over western Jamaica, leaving the destructive winds over the western half of the country. This means that all of Jamaica should be prepared for destructive winds, although in the end, it will depend exactly where the circulation center makes landfall. In addition to the wind, Historic rainfall is expected to affect Jamaica, especially the eastern half of the country. Rainfall totals between 500 and 1,000 millimeters are anticipated over the next 5 days. This is equivalent to between 25 and 40 inches of rain, and for southern Haiti, between 500 and 750 millimeters, and for southern Dominican Republic, between 12 and 16 inches or 300 to 500 millimeters. So we are talking about a potentially historic and record-breaking rainfall event for Jamaica. For example, the projections of the global models agree with this forecast. The European model shows that over eastern Jamaica, more than 500 millimeters of rain could accumulate between today, Saturday, and Tuesday, while the American model is much more aggressive and shows rainfall totals above 1,100 millimeters, which is equivalent to 43 inches of rain. After it crosses over Jamaica, it is expected to move over eastern Cuba, where a hurricane watch has been issued, including the provinces of Granma, Holguín, Santiago de Cuba, and Guantanamo. So if you live in this area of the country, you should also prepare for a Category 4 or Category 3 hurricane affecting the area between Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. Here we can see the wind gust animation. According to the European model, some gusts above 200 km per hour could affect parts of eastern Cuba and areas of the southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos between Tuesday and Thursday. In addition, rainfall totals between 300 and 350 millimeters are expected in parts of eastern Cuba and the southern Bahamas. So, after a week of closely monitoring the evolution of this disturbance, the forecast we had been discussing is finally coming true, and today we have an unfortunate scenario in which Melissa will likely strengthen into a Category 5 or Category 4 hurricane just before moving over Jamaica. Here at Hurricane Info, I will continue keeping you informed, and the next video will be recorded on Sunday morning around 8 a.m. So I kindly ask that you share this video with others so they can stay informed. And before I go, I'd like to ask you to like this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you receive notifications when I record new videos. Well, with that, I say goodbye. Until the next video. See you later.